I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of NVC. I know Rachel, our president, is also here, and maybe she'll give some marks at the end. But Jude and I are members of NVC, and we're going to help have us lead kind of and moderate this conversation about arts and entrepreneurship, and especially with 3 student entrepreneurs and how they see their side projects with art as a way to explore entrepreneurship and how they bring entrepreneurship to those ventures. While they're talking, if you're interested in what their work is, I'm going to put a Google Doc in the chat, which has links to their various profiles. So feel free to check that out. I'll also send it later if it gets lost. But before we get into the questions, I'd like everyone to introduce themselves. Ami, would you mind going first?
Yeah, it'd be a pleasure. Thanks for having me. My name is Ami. I'm currently a sophomore. I'm studying in business information systems with minors in music and design and entrepreneurship. And yeah, I'm really interested in like music, the intersection between music and entrepreneurship and tech and kind of a lot of different art as well. I got the chance to study abroad actually at Lehigh. And studied a lot of art and architecture while abroad. So yeah, really excited to speak about art and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, awesome. And Ami, if you don't mind, so just if you want to talk about a little bit more on like what you do with art in your pastime, especially relating to like the link that is on the doc, if you want to promote that too.
Yeah, so I mostly, I guess, channel my artistry through music. And so I produce a lot of music. I actually produce a lot of music with Dan, or Dan produces with me, and then I do a lot of vocals. So I produce and I write and I sing. So that's like the main forms of artistry that I kind of channel my energies through. And then in terms of entrepreneurship, I'm really involved in the New Ventures Club, and I'm really involved in the startup and tech scene. So yeah, I also definitely love the intersections between kind of music and startups and entrepreneurship. So really excited to speak about that.
Yeah, awesome. And his name was invoked, so I'm going to pass it off to Dan to introduce himself.
Hello, my name is Dan. I'm a junior. I'm studying computer science and business, and my art form is music. Basically what I do, I guess, is try to find people at Lehigh who don't have a network for music, who are looking to make music with someone. Either they're people who don't talk to a lot of people and their main thing is music, and it's kind of been hard for them to make friends, or for people who just are really interested in it but haven't been able to find anybody else who makes music. A lot of people that I meet are kind of like they haven't been able to find that group of people that they really want to be friends with, that they really want to be close with, and it's because they can't relate with them because they make music, like that's their hobby, and all of their friends are like music people, or they want their friends to be music people. That's who they relate to the most. And I try to just bring everybody together into one little room to work together. So yeah, that's what I do.
Awesome, great. And I'm going to pass it off to our next panelist and our last of the 3. So Alexis, please talk about your involvement.
Yeah, hi everyone, I'm Alexis. I'm a sophomore here studying computer engineering with a minor in business, and my main form of art is through fashion. I recently started a clothing company with some of my friends from high school, and it's really just mainly about taking our creativity and our expressions and creating designs and creating products and making that into just a way to express yourself through fashion. I think that the way that everyone chooses to dress and style themselves is a great way to kind of just play around with your different creativities and art forms. And so that's kind of really where my main goal in art is to combine art and creativity in style.
Awesome. Yeah. So to start it off, my first question is going to be to the group. So take it, whoever wants to go first, go for it. But how do you apply an entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial thinking when you're working with art?
I guess like a really direct way to achieve that is kind of like when you're an entrepreneur, right? You see a market and you want to, you know, attack that market and try and get try and get into the market. And so when you're, I think it's different for every art form, right? Like if you're doing art can be a very solitary art, but something like music is like, it's very much so, you know, nobody really creates an album on their own. Very few people do. Very few successful albums are made by just one person. And when you're making music, you need like a community of people in order to kind of create that. So I guess how it applies to entrepreneurship is that for me, I saw a kind of a hole in where music creatives can kind of meet together. There are like clubs at Lehigh for people who make music to come together and do stuff, but I feel like there are inherently restrictions for a club. No offense to anybody who's in a club, I'm in clubs, but you know, I think the most meaningful relationship you can have with someone is just by being friends and with nothing really tying you together. If you're hanging out with people, you know, and it's not like organizational in a way, you know, it's not like a club. I think it makes it feel a lot more natural. It's easier to form friendships and things like that. So I saw a lot of room for that. Kind of like more of an underground music scene, I guess. And you know, once you see a place where the market is empty, you know, you attack it. So that's how I would apply entrepreneurship with music or with art.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Ami, I saw you're also trying to unmute. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I love to. I think like at the core of entrepreneurship is all about just like solving problems and being able to kind of understand yourself as well. Which I think directly applies to art. It's a lot about just like obviously self-expression, but also being able to kind of see what's out there in the world, and channel it through your own medium. And I think that's really powerful. And I think that also helps a lot of people solve their own problems. So for me, it's also just about being able to provide a solution or coping mechanism, to allow yourself and also other people to enjoy and entertain themselves through artistry. And I think that's really powerful. So yeah, I think like the huge thing has been just like being able to impact people, but also like solve some people's problems at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, totally. Alexis, your group, your like background's different than music. So I wonder how your answer might be a little bit different in this area.
Yeah, for sure. So for us, a lot of our like art comes from our mindset and our creativity in putting designs into our clothing pieces and the way that we want everything to look. But a lot of that stems from what we like and what trends we're most into in our own styles. But that entrepreneurship mindset has to come into play when we're pushing products out into the market. If we design everything to what like I personally like, that doesn't necessarily appeal to the mass majority. And while style is unique and it's individual, the entrepreneurship side comes into play into balancing out what is the trend and what is the fad that most other people are also going to gravitate towards. And that's kind of the exciting part, is because we get to take our own interest in our own designs and then kind of see how that plays into the market and see what gaps there are in the fashion community, what trends are on the rise, what trends that we gravitate towards most. And it's kind of combining our own artistic styles with the entrepreneurship mindset of kind of meeting a mass market.
Totally. I think Jude, you have the next question.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. So I love to hear about more on how do you apply your creativity and art to when you're pursuing entrepreneurship, and do you think it's a little bit different when you're creative with solving a problem versus creating art? Sounds like for Alexis here might be kind of blurred, but I'd love to hear how maybe they overlap too in music.
Yeah, so for creating art in like the sense of coming into like an advantage with entrepreneurship, the art in the fashion design and in the fashion process, like I kind of mentioned before, it is a kind of personal aspect that you're putting into all of your designs. And when we're just out there creating designs and coming up with like fashion pieces that we would want to personally wear, it's a very like individual mindset. Everyone kind of comes in with their own thoughts, but then that creativity kind of changes when you're pursuing it from an entrepreneurship angle, as you do want to make sure that the pieces that you wear are wearable for everybody, because we're also, the brand that we've created is all about like inclusion and making sure that people feel comfortable in the style that they choose to express themselves in. And so creativity is so, the great part about creativity and the way that you can pursue art is that it can come from a very individualistic mindset. But when you pass around those ideas with everybody across the board, it starts to kind of become something that everybody can connect to and everybody can put input in towards. And so that's like a very fun process for us.
Yeah, 100%. I think I think what a big part of entrepreneurship creativity is teamwork, is working with a group of people and working with other people well, right? And the reason that creativity is so important and significant in entrepreneurship, I feel like, is because when people are creative together in a room, they can connect way easier. Like if you're just doing boring work with someone, you will not feel connected to that person. I'm sure you guys went to, you guys have had groups of people that you've had to work with in class or something. And, you guys are talking for, you may have an entire semester long project and then you guys never talk again because the only thing that was connecting you was some work, typing something up. When the connection that you're creating is through creativity, you have to express yourself, right? Creativity forces you to express yourself. And by forcing you to express yourself, you get closer with everybody else around you. So I think you need to be creative, basically. And I think being creative in every aspect of your life is important, but especially in entrepreneurship, being creative will make it much easier for you to connect with others.
Could I hop in with a question real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So I want to introduce myself first. I'm Alejandro. My art, I guess, is film. I make like short videos. And I have a work study right now with a women's lacrosse team making videos for them. But I haven't really applied like an entrepreneurship side to it. And I don't really know how to apply it to there. So how could I apply the entrepreneur side to my film work?
I think the short answer is YouTube. I think the longer answer is being able to kind of create your own brand and like having a kind of like North Star mission around why you want to film, what you want to film, and how you want to film. And I think like being able to just like I think like YouTube is like the perfect example of trying to create your brand, growing your brand, and then pivoting and understanding the market as you go, and then also enjoying kind of all of that through the medium of film. And obviously with film comes a lot of storytelling and artistry, etc. So I would say like, yeah, like YouTube is a huge way to kind of take your art and explore it in an entrepreneurial way. I think we see that a lot right now, especially. So, yeah.
Do you think I should just do YouTube? Because I know like TikTok right now is like still on the rise. And I don't know if YouTube's on the decline or Instagram is or what, or should I go for all of them or just work on like mastering one?
Well,
sorry.
No, you go on. You're good. You're good.
No, I'll go really quickly. I think it really depends on what you want to make and what you want to do. I think different types of content are kind of suitable for different types of platforms, obviously. So if you want to story tell a lot more, if you want a little bit more longer form content, I think like YouTube is a great way. Also, I think YouTube is a better way to build your brand long term. That's my personal opinion. But I don't think it hurts to kind of explore different facets and mediums of like socials, etc. But yeah, sorry. Declan.
Yeah, no, I think also one of the other things just popped to my head from like more of the traditional like entrepreneurship class stuff is like, what's the hole you're trying to fill? Like, I think like Alexis, Ami, and Dan all kind of have an area in which they see they're bringing this form of art into the market to help people. And I think like, where do you want that solution or what hole do you want to fill with that? So yeah, I'll also pass it off to Dan and Alex But then we also have another question in the chat.
Yeah, personally, I could say that it definitely doesn't hurt in the beginning to kind of put it on as many different platforms as you feel comfortable doing, especially if you're still kind of working out what niche you think is going to be the best fit for the type of short films you're producing. And so let's say you have a longer short film, you put that on YouTube, you could always try to make a short little trailer to put on TikTok and just promote it in as many different ways as you can, and especially in the beginning, so that you can reach a big platform. And then from there, you can kind of see what market it's like sticking in the most, and then put more of your time and effort into that specific platform.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I guess a different approach to the question. Obviously, you want to be, you know, on the internet and posting your stuff on there. But speaking more of a value for you, you're only providing people value really when you're posting onto YouTube, especially. I'm sure, like, I mean, you don't have a following, right? So if you're going to post, sure, after a while you will develop this you know, this group of people that'll be interested in your content. But until then, it's really just you shouting into the void, and you're not getting anything back out of it. So when I approach entrepreneurship, you know, in creativity, for me, it's always been talking to people, like on campus or obviously, you know, right now, but normally, like, even just reaching out to people. If you know somebody is in art, like the amount of people I've met, I just tell people I make music, and they tell me I make music back, and I get their phone number immediately. You know what I mean? Like, I need to be in contact with this person. I'm not trying to say your art is bad or anything, but it's probably not as good as it can be, right? So you won't really learn much from uploading your work to YouTube, to TikTok. You're going to learn a lot more by finding other people who do film at Lehigh, for example, reaching out to them and being like, yo, listen, let's collaborate, you know, teach me something. Let's just talk about it. All the people I make music with, even though some people I don't make music with anymore, I just talk to them about music, and it helps me, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I know somebody who makes films too, by the way, so I'll send you their contacts after. But yeah, I think that's good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to follow up before we go to Rachel's question in the chat real quick, because Dan brought up an interesting point. When it comes to like entrepreneurship, like one of the main steps is how can you create like a minimum viable product and test your solution in the market to some extent. But when it comes to art, there's like a big gap between you starting the piece that you're thinking on and then bringing it to the market. And in between that area is a ton of insecurity within yourself and with also the success of the product. How do you keep your mindset going that you want to continue with this piece of art? And Dan, I think, just kind of brought up how it's really just having that community. But I wonder, like, for Alexis, I know you have a big team. Ami, I know you collaborate with people. Is people the answer for that? Or how do you work to keep confidence in the pieces that you're making?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's definitely a mix of the people that I'm working with, having a group and a community that when one of us is feeling like a little nervous about, when we had our first launch, we were all like a little bit nervous about putting our products for the first time into the market. And that's definitely scary, but having that community was definitely a huge aspect. But also kind of being able to look back and realize that this is what we wanted. This is the mindset we had going into this. Is like we were proud and we wanted to show our work to the mass public and kind of get that wide appeal to everybody. And it's definitely hard because art is something that comes a lot from yourselves and the creativity from your community and the people that you're working with. It can kind of almost feel like your baby, like this is everything, you've poured your heart and soul into it. And so releasing it out in the world can definitely be super, super scary. But a huge factor in, I know, like the brand that we're working on is that we do try to partner with other organizations. So our first drop was all about self-love, and we partnered with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So when it came down to it and when we were releasing it, we were just reinforcing that we hoped that our product would help benefit other people. And so kind of having that mindset from the entrepreneurship side that the product and the art that you're releasing is meant to be a part of your own creativity and expression, but also to try to connect a greater community, and having that kind of mass benefit overweighs the like little doubts and insecurities that I had about putting out my art into the world.
Yeah, Dan, I don't know if you have some more to add, but I just saw you on mute. But
Ami, were you going to say something?
I mean, I think Alexis put it very well. I don't think I
Yeah.
can say it any better. And yeah, I think community is important and people are
Mhm.
important, but also um, just like being able to be passionate about what you do is important, obviously. So I think it's a mix of a lot of those things, and that mix kind of like helps you like kind of release your baby, I guess, out to the world. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, what's it called? Risk. So like you were saying, Alexis, that you were afraid to make your drop, obviously, because you might fail. So don't be afraid to fail. The amount of ideas I've had compared to the amount of actual things I've released is unfathomable. You know what I mean? It's much better that you have a lot of ideas that don't work or are not working than, a couple ideas that you're overly focusing on. I think it's always important to create a lot and not be afraid that they might fail.
Yeah, so that's a great transition to Rachel's question is, what are some lessons you learned through those failures? That's a great way that we heard that how you kind of cope with the failures of community, but we'd like to hear about maybe what's a lesson that each of you learned from your failures in art and how was it applicable to the other side?
This is a hard question. Um,
Admitting
I will,
defeat.
yeah, good job, Rachel. I do think like for me personally, I've learned from entrepreneurship to like Dan said before, you just have to be ready to learn from failures, to be ready to like fail in general, and also be ready to kind of be proud of yourself and be proud of like the work that you do. Like likes don't translate to everything. Um, like different kinds of I don't know, like shares, comments, etc. They don't really matter as much as like what you're proud of and kind of what you put into. So I think for me, I've actually learned how to like be proud of myself, self love, and like just like love like the stuff that I do and create, both on the entrepreneurship and artistry side, I think. So for me, yeah, for me, it's been able to just like, I guess, like kind of empower myself, but also like just generally be proud of what I'm doing. Um, always, yeah.
Yeah, just basically a similar vibe is that I feel like failure in art is such a subjective thing because as long as you're proud of what you created and where your creativity stemmed from, it's not necessarily a failure, even if other people didn't gravitate towards it. There are, especially in the line that my brand is going towards in putting out clothing products, there are failures in entrepreneurship as far as sales and profits and things like that. So I think the line in drawing from those type of entrepreneurship failures with your art is kind of balancing out like what your vision is and what your creativity and your drive is, and then also what is going to reach your target market. And sometimes you do have to compromise and realize that the specific design that you like might not appeal to necessarily everybody that you're trying to reach. And so there is that hard part of realizing that sometimes your creativity does have to be constrained slightly in order for the entrepreneurship side to do as well. But it's all at the end of the day realizing that if something doesn't succeed the way you envisioned, that's not a dig at your actual creativity or your art form. All of that is subjective towards your opinions and what you like.
Yeah, and I think you should be very much so okay with failure because there have been songs that I made and nobody liked. And then a year later, people happen to like it, right? You know what I mean? Just because you've created something and it's not good right now does not mean it's not going to be good a year from now or something. And I personally think you should never stifle your creativity for entrepreneurship. I think the truest you can be and the most valuable thing you can provide to people is just being honest and true to yourself, right? You need to give people an image of yourself or something you're trying to convey. And I think even though you might not succeed that first time that you express yourself and are creative, true to yourself, it might be that you just haven't honed what your own style is yet. It's not that you have to, malform and fit something else. You should be as creative as you can, because the most valuable thing you can provide to people is yourself, really. That's really the most valuable thing you can provide. I think most people, when they fail and they feel like it was because they were like too creative or too weird or something, or like their sound is too weird, their art form is too weird, it's maybe just because they haven't put enough time to really fully actualize their own ideas.
Yeah, really cool points. So thanks for everyone. I know we're getting close to the end. So before we end, I want Dan, Alexis, and Ami to kind of talk about what have been some of their most recent works. What should we look forward to from their areas, and maybe some like whatever else you might want to promote, and some other last minute comments. But yeah, Dan, you're unmuted, so I'm going to pick on you first.
Oh, okay, sorry. So we're just like what we do, I guess.
Yeah. What you do? Where should we find your work? Like, what work are you promoting at the moment? What work should we look forward to? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I have this guy that is a friend I found, and in the summer he literally for the entire summer he was at Lehigh by himself, basically. For the entire summer, every single day, he just made music for 8 hours a day. So like crazy, right? Crazy work, but like that's how you get good at something, right? So I just wanted to promote his work. I worked with him a couple of times, and hopefully we'll be releasing something together soon. But you have the Spotify link, right? It's in the doc.
Yeah, the Spotify's in the doc under Dan's name. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And he's great. So I think you guys should definitely explore that. And last message, always be the person who's connecting people with each other, right? If you know someone who does something and you know somebody else who does the exact same thing, connect those people together. That's the most valuable thing you can provide for them.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, Alexis.
Yeah, in that doc, you'll find Instagram tag to the clothing company's Instagram. We are doing a drop in the summer, so that's something to look forward to. On our end, we're working on the designs and the exact pieces that we want, but we'll definitely be promoting that throughout the summer. But my last message to you guys is that if there is any idea that you have that you want to put out into the world, don't be afraid to just go for it. I've been told that I should have started a fashion company way back in high school, but I was always just nervous. I didn't know if I had the resources to go for it. I didn't even know where to start. But getting together with a group of friends and just really going for it, it's worked out well. And so if you guys have any idea, even if it's just a spark, start talking about it with people, start finding people with the same interests. You are most likely not alone in the overall concept of what you want to do. So find that group and really just go for it.
Yeah, Ami. That was great points, Alexis. But yeah, now heading off to Ami.
Yeah, I don't know if I can top those two, but yeah, I also have a lot of the links for my music in the doc, both on SoundCloud and Spotify. I'll maybe be collaborating with Dan soon. We'll see again. But yeah, I think the last thing is just also kind of like Alexis said, just start somewhere. If you're a painter, just start painting. If you're interested in music, just start making music. If you're interested in starting some venture, just start somewhere and build from there, and you'll probably learn something. You might fail, but the next time around, you'll be even better suited for making different ventures and projects and artistry. So yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, thanks to LUAG and NVC.
Yeah, awesome. I'm going to hand it off to Stacy to maybe promote some stuff on the LUAG side, and then maybe just some final comments on the NVC side.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to thank all of you. I think you left some really great things. You said some really great things for us to think about and gave us great messages for persevering and pursuing our passions. And we have an amazing collection of art in the art galleries, over 17,000 works of art. And artists solve problems in really great ways. So it's a great resource. We hope that you will check us out. Thank you all for kicking off our first LUAG at Lunch for the semester. I hope that you'll check back with us. We have 2 every month, as well as a lot of upcoming workshops and events. So check out our website at luag.org. And thanks to all of our presenters today and New Ventures Club for being a part of this.
Yeah, of course. Awesome. And Rachel, you're going to make some final comments about NVC and throw in our, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So again, it was awesome to co-host this LUAG at Lunch on behalf of NVC. AndAmi's like a beloved part of NVC. He's been such an like important pillar for developing NVC. So it's really cool to see him talk about his individual pursuits outside of the club. But again, amazing advice from all of the people who were the panelists today. And just a personal touch, but I really do think entrepreneurship and art is really linked because there's these creative aspects that go into both of that. So I think it was really cool to hear people who are both entrepreneurially driven and artistically driven talk about their stories, especially knowing that they're fellow students and that they're so successful even while juggling both of those things together. But to close off, I'm just going to send our link tree into the chat for those who are interested in NVC. We don't have any directly set events coming up, but I can just describe that. I'm sure, I know Declan covered it in the beginning, but we have a startup job fair coming up soon in the spring. We're also going to have an East Coast Entrepreneurship Conference in conjunction with some other colleges on the East Coast that is also coming up. So if you want to hear information about that and stay posted on all of that, you should definitely follow one of our socials listed on our link tree. But that was all I have to say.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming, guys.
Yeah, and also join our group me. But yes, thank you, everyone, and have a good Friday.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Keep in touch.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye.
Great job,
Good.
guys. Thank you.
Yeah, all good. Thank you, everyone. Dan, Alexis, Ami, thank you very much.